Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala nabil ummi. Today, amazing lesson today, subhanAllah. Let's enjoy this. It's very spiritual. قال رضي الله عنه العجب كل العجب لمن يهرب مما لا انفكاك له عنه ويطلب ما لا بقاء له معه فإنها أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا تعمل أبصار ولكن تعمل القلوب التي في الصدور صدق الله المولانا العظيم. The author, he hints towards something very amazing. He says, it's very surprising that as seekers, as humans, we are seeking something. Generally, if we ask ourselves, what is one of my biggest achievements? What am I working towards? So when you analyze it, think about it, you realize it's something not of the highest priority. It's not the most amazing thing you can work towards. It's something secondary, but we focus on it so much. And in this case, the author is saying, think of achieving the pleasure of your Lord compared to everything else. So he says, I'm so surprised, and it's so surprising to see someone running from something which is inevitable, meaning something that has to happen. You're running away from it to things that have no existence of themselves. For example, wealth, popularity, sexual desires. He goes, those are things that are so temporary and transient, very mahdud in time. They're so limited. We're running towards such silly things, but in the meantime, we're forgetting and running away from the Lord that is eternal. And then he hints towards the ayat which is very profound. He says, the eyes don't become blind, but the hearts do become blind. لا تعمل أبصار. So the eyes do not become blind, but the hearts do become blind. The hearts that are, or the eyes that are within the heart, they become blind. So we sometimes, when we are having a very busy day, a busy time in our life, or when our brains are running and going crazy, we should pause, a very hard pause, and ask ourselves, why am I going crazy? What's keeping me so mentally shocked, and what's making me think so much? And once we calm down and think, then we realize, there's no need to overthink it, there's no need to stress, there's no need to feel like I lost too much. I'll tell you a very amazing story, and it's shockingly deep. Mufti Taqi Usmani, Damat Barakatuhum, the great jurist of Pakistan, he says that once he was a child, I think it was him or his father, they say we came outside and we were playing marbles. And by the end of the day, I lost a lot of marbles, so I felt shattered. I felt extremely despondent, mayus, and very upset, like I lost everything in my life, I have nothing left. And he goes, I was so sad, but then now that I look back at it, I said, I was so shocked, so upset at marbles. $1, 50 cents, 2-3 rupees, like it's just a cheap item. But at that moment we feel like, I lost everything, I lost my life, I lost my everything, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So that what am I going to do? That's the sentence that makes people go crazy. But when they think about it, you haven't lost anything. The only reason why we think we lost something is because we gave something too much value. But that thing had no value, or not as much value as we put on it. So let's just say somebody had a good job and they lost it. So at the moment, it'll hurt a little. Your bank balance will be affected by the next month because there'll be a smaller check coming in. But in the bigger picture, it's not going to affect the person's life too much. But the person feels like, I lost everything. Because what the person did was, they placed they place their self-respect in that job. They said, for example, let's just say somebody is a doctor. So now he doesn't see himself as a good person, so his value is from his goodness and the tawfiq that Allah gives him every day to be a good person. His value is, oh, I have a degree and the world loves me because of my degree and because of my profession as a doctor. So now, if he has to go for a lesser job because he can't find a place where he can serve as a doctor, now he feels like, oh, I feel like bi'izzat, I feel like my honor is gone, I'm working in this field. I'm working in a factory for this moment. So his self-confidence is so down, he feels like Allah doesn't like him, the world hates him, and so on. But because he put too much importance in his job. But if he says, no, my job meant nothing to me that time and nothing to me this time, they're both same thing. The main thing is Allah, I'm Allah's servant. Allah gives me rizq, whether it's through being a doctor or through a factory worker, they're both the same thing for me. So it's all about, they say generally suffering is a perception. Suffering is a perception. It's not really the outside suffering. Is he suffering? He had a job where he got good money and he has a job now that's giving him money. So is he suffering any of the two times? No, he's not suffering. He has a job, he's healthy, he goes to work, comes back, and he has transportation, he probably has his own car. But now he's thinking he's wrecked, his life is destroyed, he's working in a lesser job. But that's because he thinks that as a suffering and his brain is telling him that's a suffering. Many people see Monday as a suffering. They're like, oh, it's Monday again, oh. And you're like, man, chill out, it's not a suffering. You made Monday sound so bad. Monday's a fun time. You wake up, you have ambitions, you have goals, you get up and enjoy your week. Give your energy and do good things. And then the author gives a very powerful example which would have made more sense if we knew how the farm animals behave. So he says, do not be like the donkey of the mill. Mill is the place where they crush the grains of the farm. So, or there's other places where there's a bucket and a round thing that pulls out water out of the well and into the canal. Mm-hmm. So something that spins round and round, and sometimes it's powered by the movement of a cow or a donkey that moves around and round. So he's saying, don't be like that. Don't be like a donkey. Well, he keeps running and moving, but he's always in the same place. He's going from the same circle into the same circle. He never goes anywhere else. So he says, if you're going from one creation to another creation, one day you're playing toys. Next day you're all about clothing and cool-looking cars. And then you're going to girls, then you're going to work, then property, then business. He goes, that's all makhluk. So you're running around in makhluk. The creation is driving you crazy. He goes, when are you going to go to the Khaliq? So you're going from one weakness to another weakness. So that's why he says, do not be like the donkey of the farm that spins and goes in circles, but doesn't go anywhere else. And then he presents an ayat, وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. And the final end is to the Lord, meaning make your destination Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not the dunya itself. And then he mentions a hadith which is very famous, but he gives extra emphasis and says, think about it a lot. Think about this hadith. And it's a very powerful hadith. Can you press pause for 1 second? Don't turn it off, just pause it. Can you see the pause button?